I had some inspiration today during my workout. Listened to a little YouTube video and made me think about perspective. How we perceive what's going on is what creates our reality. Because reality is all in your mind, reality is all in your head, and it's all what you make it. And got me thinking of a question. Was it the worst thing that's ever happened to you? Or was it the best thing that's ever happened to you? And I was listening to a video, and it's by a guy that did 10 years in prison, and he took that time to grow after the initial victimized feeling of playing a victim, feeling like a victim because you're in prison, can't get out, that victim mindset. And he finally rose above that victim mindset and realized that he's not a victim, he's in control, because he's in control of his mind. He's in control of how he's perceiving the situation. And you could take the same situation and take two different people, and the person that continues through saying that this was the worst thing that's ever happened to them, they're going to continue to play the victim. If they make it out, they're going to continue to play the victim. They're not going to be able to get a job because they were a victim and have a felony and got locked in prison. They're not going to be able to get into a place because they can't get a job because they are a victim and got a felony. They're going to be broke. They're not going to have money. They're going to have to go back to a life of crime because they're playing the victim role, because they were locked in prison, even though they most likely, 9 times out of 10, did something to get locked in prison. On the other hand, you got somebody in that same situation that alters their perception and looks at it as, you know what, this might be the best thing that's ever happened to me. And they take this situation and they come out and they take what they've learned, they take that mindset that they developed, and they create their own business. They create their own wealth. They create the lifestyle that they want because their perception changed and created the reality that they live in. Both people had the same experience, but living in alternate realities because of their perception. My time when I got locked up, of course, I looked at it as, this is horrible, it's the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And then I got out and I walked away from the life that I was living, and it didn't take me long, but pretty soon I realized, hey, that's the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because had I stayed in that lifestyle, I would probably be doing a whole lot more time in prison if I was lucky. The other option would be that I would be dead, because the lifestyle that I was living, that's the only two outcomes of it. It doesn't lead to what everybody thinks it leads to. And everything else that has happened in my life, I would look back on it, and at the time, it was the worst thing that could have happened. Everything that's ever happened, I looked at it as everything that I looked at as being the worst thing that could have happened. Eventually, I realized, you know what, that was the best thing that could happen. And that's one of the points that I try to make to people, that the universe is going to give you exactly what you need. It might not give you what you want, but that's because you don't know what you want. The universe knows what you need, and the universe, without fail, is going to provide you with what you need. It's up to you, just like it's up to me, to take that and turn it into the best thing that's ever happened to you, as opposed to turn it into the worst thing that's ever happened to you. I have little internal struggles, little mental and internal struggles. I have a sensory processing disorder, where I process a lot of things, feel like physical touch, physical feel, as negative. I also process a lot of things emotionally, a lot more than most people do. And for a long time I looked at that as a bad thing. I looked at it as I was too sensitive and too emotional. And when I analyze it more and look back at it and look at it, it's one of the best things that I could have, because believe it or not, emotion is one of the strongest driving forces that you could ever imagine having. Some of my best lifts in the gym were when I was listening to a song and I dug down into some emotions, and I would literally walk up to the bar, just tears pouring out of my eyes, so freaking emotionally high, vibing at such an insanely high frequency, because I tapped into those emotions. And I used these negative emotions in a positive way to make some of my best lifts ever. And the same thing with life. I take these negative emotions and I try to apply them into positive outcomes. my new journey that I want to embark on. I want to be, I call it a quote-unquote healer. I want to help people. I want to help people get on their path. I want to help people find their path, whatever it is. I told people that, I say that people that have psychic intuitions and psychic abilities, people that are sensitive, supernatural and spiritual realms are attracted to me because I feel like I have a way to guide them and help them find their path. Just like I have this intense, insatiable hunger for learning. I am learning constantly. I used to spend, before there was YouTube and the internet, I would spend hours upon hours upon hours in local bookstores studying nutrition, studying anatomy, studying exercise science, studying kinesiology, studying encyclopedia of weightlifting, bodybuilding, powerlifting, everything I could get my hands on for hours and hours. When the internet came out, I would do the same thing. And now I'm doing with everything else. I'm learning spiritual things. I'm learning things about crystal healings, about plant medicines, about meditation. And I want to help people in all aspects of their life through psychology, philosophy, exercise, plant medicines, and metaphysical healing. And I've always had this fear of starting something because I run so emotionally high that I'm always afraid that I might fail or I might not be where I want to be. But another quote I listen to a lot is there's no failure. The only two failures in life are never starting and never getting back up once you fall. And so anything that happens, ask yourself, is this the worst thing or is it actually the best thing that's ever happened to me?